Welcome to the Third Point Podcast, where deep truth meets everyday life. I'm your host, Clay, joined by Pastor Jim Jackson, the lead pastor of the Orchard Church. Jim has a gift for making big theology simple and practical for everyday life. So let's dive into this week's episode. You don't want to touch
I do,
beat?
actually. I was...
Let's start the episode. Jeff, put a big...
We're touching.
All right. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode.
Hello, friends.
I'm here with Pastor Jim.
Hello.
As always, we have a beautiful icebreaker.
What is it? What is it this
Here
week?
it is. What is something you're really good at that many people don't know? Or just like a fun fact or a hidden talent,
Wow.
besides being able to dunk
I don't think...
on a mini hoop.
I didn't want to... Okay, now you correct it. I was going to say I can dunk, and then you did that. So now nobody's going to believe me
I'm sorry.
unless I use my AI skills and show myself dunking.
Hey,
That's a good question. I don't know what I'm good at in this world.
what?
I don't think I'm really good at anything other than just trying to live life with you.
You have hidden talents.
I don't think so.
You have
I think-
whole... I'll let you answer and then...
No, so when I was a kid, I kind of had OCD with, I had to align all of my like Matchbox cars. And so, which my son has the same, let's say, blessing. And so I have a weird OCD-ish thing where I see everything misaligned. That's not aligned. So perfect example, actually. We went to Maui. We went to a donut shop in Maui, right by the airport, right by the Costco there, and Krispy Kreme. And they had an advertisement on the wall. And it was for some upcoming promotion they were doing for the holidays or whatever. And I could see that they didn't space the words correctly. Like there was an extra space in the sentence in between one of the words. Like it was literally just like one letter. Somebody, when they were editing it, didn't bring the sentence back into perfect spacing.
Uh-huh.
And so we're just sitting there in a donut.
Oh, no.
Yeah, with my family on vacation. And I happened to glance over at this advertisement and I literally said to my family, man, somebody screwed up. and my wife and my son are like, what? I'm like, yeah, look at that. You see the spacing between this word? It's like one letter too wide. And they were just like,
You just couldn't shake it.
you're a weird person. So if you're talking about things that I'm good at, I don't even know if that's a good story to say about things I'm good at that no one would know of, but I have that weird part of me that's very like, hey, let's make sure this is all legit all the way through.
And you have an eye for detail. And I think something a lot of people don't know about you, but I know about because I've been to your house multiple times.
Yeah.
Is that you can just build stuff. Like this whole thing you
Like
built.
this
Whole set you built. And
Yeah.
you did it in what, a day or less than a day?
Yeah.
So I think that is a blessing of that detail.
Maybe.
Whereas when you're in Krispy Kreme's trying to enjoy your family, you're
Trying to fix their advertisement.
you can't focus.
I can't.
Maybe that's the
I don't
con.
even enjoy this donut anymore. Somebody fix the stinking advertisement. Yeah. That's a thing. Yeah, that would be it.
But yeah, I think your biggest hidden talent I've seen is you being able to just build stuff. Which is cool.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that God called me into a ministry that you wouldn't think construction or design or like I made all this weird stuff behind me with the lions and stuff. It's like design work, advertising, all that junk falls out of my head.
Yeah.
And I never would have thought that particular stuff would be used for ministry. Like I figured like if I wasn't a good example, like if I wasn't doing pastoral stuff, if God hadn't called me to this, I'd be doing something way else.
Mhm.
with exactly what I'm talking about: advertising, marketing, design work, construction, whatever.
Yeah.
But here I sit with you under some lights, talking about
On a podcast.
a podcast about construction and design and Krispy Kreme advertising.
There you go.
Hey,
my wife always reminds me that my biggest hidden fun fact.
Yeah.
Because I always go to the worst thing where I drank bleach when I was younger because I thought it was milk. I ate an ornament, took a bite out of an ornament because I want to be the Grinch.
wow.
Well, I always go to those, and she goes, "No, those aren't good." And for middle
That's
schoolers,
not a gift.
for middle schoolers, they're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like you drank milk. I mean, bleach.
Yeah.
But I was actually a background artist, which was what my title was officially.
Yeah.
It may have been that I was on Disney Channel and you saw the back of my neck, but I was a background artist. I was an extra.
I think I remember that.
I got a picture with Debbie Ryan from Jessie. Shout out Debbie Ryan.
Hey.
I don't know if
Debbie Ryan.
you know who Debbie Ryan is.
I have zero idea who
Just
that
some
is.
Disney chick that I probably thought I had a crush on. I don't know.
Well, she probably liked the back of your neck.
She did.
When she saw it, she was like, snap. Somebody got the right guy for this role.
No, we had to send pictures of the back of our necks in. We didn't. That's
That was your glam photo.
We didn't actually do that. Those were my glory days, though.
Yeah,
I was on set. We had lunch. I just had to keep doing the same scene 1,000 times.
Because you're part of the Mouse House. They love you. Disney loves you. I'm surprised.
Not part of the Mouse House.
I'm surprised you're even, your neck isn't all over the world.
They still call
pictures of it. Did they call?
Go, hey, I'm not called to that anymore.
No, you've been called away from neck photography.
But just like you would be in marketing, I'd probably be in something with my neck.
Neck work.
Yeah. They call that NERC. All right. Hey, speaking of neck work, I love saying that because it never has anything to do with what I'm about to say next.
That's beautiful. Again, your transitions are just next level.
Next level.
Look at that.
Next level.
Hey,
okay.
Next level. If you didn't get that on the podcast.
Hey, enough of the next. So we are in John chapter 7, verses 14-36. If you have been following along with our Days with Jesus series, Jesus here steps into the temple and teaches with authority. But the contrast is he actually has no rabbinical training.
Right.
So I love your first point. Your first point is this. And I remember sitting there, I'm like, whoa, hey now. Jesus isn't qualified to teach people.
Right.
And at first I'm like, where's he going?
Do I need to have another church?
Yeah. Where's he going with this?
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So I want you to dive into that because I want to go into credentials and calling and how those two things work together, but how calling is in a lot of aspects more important. So tell us what you mean when you say Jesus is actually not qualified to teach people.
Right. So what I love about the Gospels is that they are super raw and they don't try to whitewash or veneer over Jesus's real life. Like there's not a bunch of these like hero stories like it's Greco-Roman mythology or some other hero stories from the Assyrians or the Babylonians or whatever from ancient days. It's like Jesus just has real world stories. Like we've been talking about Jesus' family, right? The last couple of weeks, the last couple of podcasts. And that's a thing that I think most people are like, I didn't even know. Number one, some of us don't even think Jesus had a family. Number two, as far as like the family he grew up in. And then like, then that family must have been perfect. No, it was super dysfunctional. They didn't get along. They fought each other. They wanted Jesus to die. We talked about that last week in the last podcast. And this is another aspect of it where Jesus is like probably in his early 30s, 33, 34-ish, maybe at this time in his ministry. So he is, again, at the peak of his popularity at this story. He's teaching at the temple. He probably has thousands of people in his church, so to speak. Like they're there to hear him speak at the temple in this big open area. And So now in the story for today, what passage are we in John?
John 7:14-36.
Okay. So in John 7, the religious leaders, now here's the issue. Here's the real story of Jesus. He grew up in Nazareth, which is a nothing town. Even to this day, it's kind of a backwater, nothing. The only reason it's popular is literally because it's the story of Jesus. And it's away from major roads. It's tucked up in this hill. It's a small nothing village that no one would have ever said you were proud to come from Nazareth. So he comes from a nowhere land town. He doesn't come from Jerusalem. He doesn't come from Rome. He doesn't come from Athens. He comes from nowhere that's great. Period. So the other thing then is this. Do you come from a great family? Do you come from a great place? I don't come from a great place. Okay. Well, you don't have to necessarily come from a great place if you come from a great family. You got a great dad? Or a great grandpa, or your great great grandpa was an amazing rabbi? No, I don't have any of that either. Oh, so did you go to school then? Did you learn from a great guy? Did you learn from Gamaliel, or did you learn from anybody that's a qualified rabbi? No, I didn't go to rabbinical school either. So in the first century, most Jewish males would have gone to synagogue, and they would have learned from the rabbi at their local synagogue. But most synagogues are very small, like the one in Capernaum where Jesus is teaching in John 6. Small, it could have maybe held a couple hundred people. It's kind of very similar to most small churches in America. Can hold 150, 250 people at the most. So it wouldn't have been thought of you just because you were a young Jewish male that you went to your synagogue teaching, that you were educated. That's just part of you being a cultural Jew. Like you get education, you get teachings of the Torah. Oh, now I'm a smarter young man, and now when I have my home, I'm going to choose a Jewish wife. We're going to have Jewish babies, and the young males growing up in my home will learn the Torah, the stories of our people. But that teaching wouldn't have been the kind of teaching that would have qualified you now to go be a teacher, is the point. So now, just because Jesus grew up in Nazareth, was probably a very small little synagogue there, he never went to a rabbinical school. He didn't go study in Jerusalem at the temple or anybody that was great. So now, though, here's the point. Now, with all that backstory in Jesus' education, he's now teaching at the temple. And thousands of people are coming and listening to him, if not 10,000 people at some of these festivals. So now the religious leaders are going, why do you think you're able to teach at this level?
Yeah. So he has no authority in their eyes.
He has zero authority. You didn't come from a great place. You don't come from great people, and you didn't learn from any great people. What are you doing?
Yeah. So then where does his authority lie?
So
and why does he have authority?
Yeah, exactly. Jesus now. So when you read John 6, 7, 8, and really almost the rest of John until we get to the Last Supper, the fight is going to be almost all the time with the religious leaders who go, we don't understand why you're so popular and why you have so much influence over the people that we don't have. People are going to you. People are listening to you. Remember, the Sermon on the Mount was up in Galilee, which is 85, 90 miles north of Jerusalem. And so now all this gossip's going around behind Jesus' back. Like, did you hear that Jesus, he pulled a crowd of like 10,000 people on a hillside in the middle of the week. And so now all this gossip's going around about him in Jerusalem. And now people are going, he shouldn't be having this kind of authority or influence. So one of the reasons they want to kill Jesus isn't because he did anything wrong. The reason they want to kill him is because they don't want him to like manipulate people to do something that the religious rulers, the Pharisees and Sadducees, don't have control over. Mm-hmm. So they so desperately want control, they'd rather have Jesus dead than have him keep having influence. And so Jesus now says this, you know where my authority base comes from? God. And they go, what does that mean? And he goes, I came from heaven.
So essentially saying, you were taught by a rabbi here. I was literally taught by God himself.
Right. And he's going to make a crazy reference to himself in the coming passages that we're not there yet, but he's going to say, before Abraham was, I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's not only going to say, I came from heaven, so my father is God as a physical person. My father is God. You think Joseph made me with Mary like a regular person, but actually God made me in Mary's womb. And so I'm real God in the flesh, and I'm real man in the flesh. I'm both. And that's just going to set them on fire.
Yeah.
When we see them in the next couple passages. But right here, he's saying, I have authority to teach that you don't even have the authority of, because I learned from God.
Yeah.
And God is the one who gave us the Torah. So if I learn from the author of the thing, I have the authority to teach on that thing.
Yeah. So I feel like this is really personal today as a pastor, that balance between education and calling. So even for you as a pastor of a large church, when you're hiring a pastor, how important is education and how important is calling? And would you hire based on one of those things if you didn't have the other?
Oh, man, that is a great question. That is a great question. Because the issue is this. Oh, man. Oh, right. Here, everybody ready? The issue is this. Just because you went to school doesn't mean you're qualified to be a pastor. And I have learned that the hard way. I have hired guys I never should have hired. I have given people influence over people that God has brought to this church that I regret. So it isn't the fact that you went to school or you got your degree on the wall or that you were at another church somewhere else that was big or whatever. It's like none of that stuff even matters if you are not qualified by God. And as a human, it's tough to know when you're talking to somebody because a resume doesn't give you spiritual depth. You have no idea who this person is, other than the resume is just kind of a snapshot of their professional / ministry life, which is helpful because you kind of go, oh, this person did all these things, or this person went to the school. And many times you know who a person is in what they think like based on the school they went to. If they went to a very liberal school or a very something, then you kind of go, oh, we might not connect on a theological level. Or if they went to a school you really respect with professors then you kind of go, okay, this guy has a good chance of fitting in our culture or of the church or fitting in our family of the church because he has been taught by the same kind of people that I respect. So there are professors at some of the seminaries that I literally call them and go, this guy was your student. What did you think of him?
Yeah.
And they'll tell me, they'll go, he was great, or he has a great mind, or he loves Jesus a lot. So you get some of that from the educational side. What you don't get is you don't see somebody's qualities until they hit the ground and you start doing ministry with them. The problem with the American version of church is that once you hire somebody, it can be very difficult to let go of them. From a employment standpoint, whereas in Jesus' day, they didn't have to worry about those things because it wasn't kind of an employment type of thing, except for maybe the lead guy and a couple other guys, because Scripture says that those that preach a gospel should make their living from the gospel. So Scripture does speak that pastors should be getting paid to preach and pray and teach and disciple and love and discipline and do the work of an evangelist, like Paul told Timothy. Like, there's a massive amount of work that true pastors, that true shepherds do. And it involves your whole life. So you can't, ideally, Paul worked different jobs, so he wouldn't be a burden to a church. But ideally, once he got those churches set up, they were to support their own pastor or pastors if they were large enough. So in our day, there was the struggle for, say, a lead guy or the guy that hires people or whatever, is that I'm not hiring an employment position. I'm hiring a shepherd. And it's the kind of guys that I want to do life with, like you, like others on our staff. Like, we have the best staff God ever put together. And it's just awesome to watch what God is doing here. But there have been times where I have made bad decisions unknown to myself that you don't see until it happens in real life. And one of the most difficult things is looking at somebody's resume or hearing from some other people like, hey, this person's really good or whatever. But then they get on scene or get on site and you kind of go, and years later, you're like, what was the lesson I'm supposed to learn from that? You pray to God and you always take everything to the Lord in prayer. But sometimes, even with, Jesus, Judas has slipped through and Demetrius's in Paul's life slipped through, and people you put in positions of influence end up doing more damage than they do good in people's lives. And that's that's a heartache for pastors
Mm-hmm.
that want to make sure that the church that God has given them authority over is doing its job, is loving the people, is bringing the people in and growing them up in Christ.
Mm-hmm. So how would you know if you were called into full-time ministry? And by full-time ministry, I know that's really broad, but I just mean you have a salary from the church. That's what you've been called into. That's your job, sort of thing. So what do you think?
You asking me like how would I personally know if I was called into a full-time ministry versus just being a volunteer, say at a church?
Yeah, and kind of what your definition of calling is.
Yeah,
because we see that I was called into this position. The calling is, you've often said, the calling is what keeps you or holds you. Or I know for me personally, when things get hard, I always go back to the moment where Christine and I were called specifically here when we were at the Habit, seeking the Lord and drinking shakes. He made it very clear that we were supposed to come into this position. So how do you know that God is calling you to that? What is a calling?
I think it is from a spiritual, emotional standpoint, it is a relentless nag from God. It's like things you can't escape. It's like when the prophet in the Old Testament said, I tried to not open my mouth and it burned in me like fire. Because Ezekiel, it's that kind of thing where if you're going to self-analyze and go, am I called to it? Not what school did I go to? Not what professor knows me or whatever. Like if I'm interior looking, the way I would know that is it, can I not do it? And we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. Can I not do this? And would it absolutely destroy me if I didn't go do this thing? The answer is yes, like I have to do this thing. Like it would wreck my life. Like God so relentlessly puts it in me. Like I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing this. Then that is one of the ways you know you're called to it. Is it's you can't do something else in peace. Like it could you do something? Of course you could not do ministry, but there are some people that need to be doing ministry as a full-time person, but they are too enamored with money. Like they want a career, or they want to go climb the corporate ladder. They know. So we talked about talents on the front end. Like if you can do anything else other than ministry, then go do that thing. If ministry is absolutely your passion in your life, in your whatever, because God is like saying you got to go do it, then that's one of the ways interior calling that God is calling you. But sometimes people know that calling and they go, I can make a lot more money doing construction, or I could make a lot more money being a designer, or being an engineer, or being a podcast host. Praise God. And they don't go do ministry when they should be doing ministry. Here's one of the heartbreaks. Ready? Everybody listen to me on wherever you're taking the kids to soccer, whatever you're doing. Listen. Here's one of the heartbreaks for me is sometimes ministry gets the lowest quality people.
Why is that?
Because they're lazy. And they don't want to go do hard things or do hard work in general. And so they think that coming into ministry is like a way to not work hard or whatever. They just kind of go, I just sit around and just read my Bible or whatever, rather than realizing like ministry is the most difficult thing God will call you to, both in your character has to be at a certain level. And when you deal with people, it's going to be difficult. When you it's going to be hard on your marriage. It's going to be hard on your parenting. Like doing ministry is it's the most difficult thing you will be ever called to do, because you're leading volunteers and they don't have to be there. And I mean, it's leadership. It's the litmus test of leadership. If you can do ministry at a church and have it flourish. And so when you think about that, you kind of go, where are the high quality people that are saying, I'm saying no to a career I could go have, that I could make a boatload more money doing XYZ over here. But I say no to that to say yes to God and put all of my skills and talents into the gospel or into the church, like that God has called me to. Like, let my gifts help this place just flourish. And many times people don't think that way. They think like, why would I do that? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I go make more money? Like, why, or be more popular or do a thing? Like, why would I? It's almost like a demotion in some highly talented people's eyes. Like, why would I give my life to something that, man, I'm going to make less money. I may get less exposure. Everything's less.
Yeah.
And some people that maybe would rather not use their gifts in a certain way, but they just kind of want to do ministry because they think it's going to be the easiest pathway. Sadly, many times those are the kind of guys that end up there. And it's like we've been talking about, like they just go to school. And then just because you have a degree, you assume you're a pastor now because you got degrees on the wall, but that doesn't mean anything. Education's great. Education's good. You should go to school. You should go to get godly professors in your life. 100%. Because they will help mold your theology. They'll help mold your ministry future. What I'm just saying is that alone isn't the delineator of if you should go into ministry.
Yeah.
That's just a part of like how to get there.
I kind of have a question, a little rabbit trail on that, because I think sometimes I've seen churches talk about being called to a certain position, and that kind of justifies them not paying their pastors very well.
Oh man, yeah. I
don't know if I'm allowed to go here.
Oh, you go there. We go all the way in on this podcast. This is, oh yeah.
So one of the things, we can cut this out if you don't.
No, we're not. We're going all the way in. No, it's
I'm going to say something about financially, just the position of men.
Yeah.
Because I think for a middle school pastor, I'm very well taken care of.
Yeah.
Like I've never, and I've had different opportunities in the past where I would have had to say, okay, well, I need to get another job if I accept this.
I got to get 2 other jobs to go be a middle school pastor somewhere.
Right.
Right.
So I love that. Obviously at the Orchard, I haven't had to have another job. I can be focused. My wife and family are taken care of, and I've never missed a meal and all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't live in a penthouse in Laguna.
Yeah.
But
that's your second home. That's your Saturday home.
Exactly. What I'm saying is, have you seen that? Because I think that is just, I'm going to use my words. Use your words. Use them all. I just think it's cruddy. I think it's cruddy when we say you're called, so we don't really have to pay you super well. And I know that we're a church and there's not a huge business corporation, but I just think like what you're saying, when you have good guys, pay your pastor.
No, I mean, well, scripture actually speaks to that. This isn't just made up stuff.
Yeah.
The scripture speaks to that. So when I wasn't a pastor, like I would read those passages, and Paul actually, this has been a struggle for most churches throughout history, is like how much we pay our pastors, how well should they be taken care of? And Paul says those that preach the gospel are worthy of double honor. And he's saying that because he's speaking about the oxen not being muzzled while he's doing the work. He's doing the work. And this is an agriculture picture, but it's like you muzzle the oxen. He's doing all this hard work out in the field, or he's grinding grain, and you don't let him eat some of the food he's making possible for other people.
Yeah.
So he used that illustration. He goes, literally, it's like, I'm just going to throw out an illustration. an example. So if Paul's saying like, hey, the average person makes $30,000 or $40,000 a year or whatever. And if you have a good guy that's like, he's called by God, you bless that man. Like he should be making 60, 70.
Mm-hmm.
So he should be living at the level of his people, but it's like, make sure he's worthy. If he's worthy, I love that too, man. I'm going to run down this rabbit trail. Not everybody's worthy of it. And I've said this multiple times. Like, I think we have too many pastors and not very many shepherds. We have people that have a degree on the wall that says, hey, I went to school, but you never were called by God.
So you're saying not everybody is worthy of
Not everybody's
position.
worthy, 100%. 100%. Because that's literally what Paul's saying. So getting back to your thing, it's like when I planted a church, so I planted a church before I came here. And I literally planted it on my couches in my living room. I had a full-time construction job. I was working full-time. And on the weekends, I would just have to bust it to get this church scenario going in my house. We'd move the couches around. We didn't have a video system. We had nothing. We literally held up a laptop as I'd play a video. One of the young men in my, Spidey, shout out to you if you're on this podcast.
Spidey?
Yeah. So he would show up from his computer a video to the people gathered, like 17 people in my living room. So here, and it gets all back to this. If God's called you, nothing stops you. You do whatever it takes. You work 3 jobs to make that church work. Mm-hmm. And it happens all over the world. Like people they're farmers and they do pastoral stuff on the weekend. But the issue is this: if you have the ability as a congregation, if there's enough people to support a pastor, you support him to the best of your ability so that he at least lives at your level, if not even a little better, because of the honor you bring to him. If he's a good shepherd. Not every shepherd's worth it. Not every shepherd that's a decision the congregation has to make. Because the Jews, when they would go into a city, so they were dispersed all over the Roman Empire. And one of the ways that they would know a synagogue, so we talked about synagogues earlier, was supposed to be started in an area, was if you had 10 to 12 grown men who had jobs, at least 10, and they would give 10% of their finances, 10 men would give 10% of their finances, and they'd bring in one rabbi. So that rabbi, if they made 10% of the average of the men that are working, would be living at their level. Mm-hmm. Because 10% is 100% of whatever the averages are. Some people make $1 million, some people make $30,000. But whatever the average is, that's the level that the rabbi would live at. Mm-hmm. So that's how they would know, hey, there's 20 Jewish families in this village. Like, we should have our own synagogue and be able to afford our own rabbi. So that's one of the ways the Jews would do it in the church, in Christianity. Make sure the guy that you call, and this goes to like other church scenarios, if you're calling a pastor or whatever, or calling a middle school guy or high school guy or whatever your church can afford, make sure they're taken care of. Make sure they can live without stressing out about eating. And, I mean, there was years where I stressed out about that. And I actually wrote about it in the book, Days of Jesus. Like there was moments where the economy tanked and construction went zero. Like I got laid off. I had nothing while I'm still trying to do this church in my house. So God kept growing that. We outgrew my house. We outgrew a whole bunch of other scenarios. We ended up getting our own property in Claremont. But,
so it started in your living room?
It literally started in my living room. Yeah.
How long was it in your living room?
Huh? So it was probably in my living room for 6-8 months ish. And then we outgrew that. We went to the Laverne Community Center and we grew to 50, 60 people. And then we outgrew that and we moved to the auditorium at Pitzer College in the Claremont School of Theology there, at the Claremont Colleges. And then we outgrew that, and we ended up getting we merged with a church that had their own property in Claremont. And so they were kind of a dying, struggling Southern Baptist church, and we moved in with them, and they gave us a property, and like God took us all the way from literally my couches to having our own property. And that was the church I was at before, God called me here. And so the point I'm making is I know what it's like to work hard and not know where your meals coming from unless you have other jobs outside of ministry. I didn't walk into some sweet cherry job out of school. Like I grounded out making stuff, kind of like Paul, like a tent maker. You just do what it takes to make it happen. But the idea is this, though. Once you are a congregation that can afford to help your pastor or honor your pastor or pastors, if you have different levels of pastors, which not every church has the privilege of having that, you do everything you can to make sure they can live in the community that they're in without worrying about keeping the lights on or food in their mouths. Not everybody gets to live, at the level that some of the people in the congregation. Some people are businessmen or real estate guys and whatever. You can't necessarily live like that, but you want to make sure that as a congregation, you love and take care of the guys that are just killing it for Jesus. Here's the thing. You want to honor the guys that honor God. You want to honor the guys that God's hand is on. God's hand is not on every pastor, and that's a sad truth. And sometimes God removes people out of churches that he knows are screwing up because he knows the hearts of all men. And sometimes he opens a door and gets them out of there. And sometimes the person thinks, oh, God's opening this door for me, but God actually just literally opened the door to get you out of the way of the blessing of blessing that church.
But don't be that person.
Don't be that guy.
Well, we definitely got way off track, but I still think it was really good conversation. That was on me. I wanted to chase that rabbit, but you like rabbit holes.
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
So the last thing is point 3. I want to wrap up with this. Jesus is qualified to change people's lives. So he's not qualified to teach people in their standard, by their standard.
Yep. Right.
And then 3, Jesus is qualified to change people's lives. That is a very interesting point because it just goes to show the power and the work is not incumbent upon what seminary we went to.
Yeah.
Or what books we read.
Yeah. So let me wrap this whole piece up with this. Jesus didn't go to seminary. Jesus wasn't taught by Gamaliel, but Paul was the Christian, Paul that came after Jesus. So the only reason Jesus could get away with it because he's God. So we'll give him a pass.
Okay. I guess.
You okay with that?
Kind of
you
can't really argue with.
You okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So Jesus is taught by the master of divinity. He has his master's in divinity. You like how I did that?
You
like how I pulled that together?
Taught by the master of divinity.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
You did.
Until
now you're
right now.
Putting it right now? Like, yeah. I put that nice little phrase.
And I'm currently I'm trying to get an MDiv. So
come on, man. Yeah.
I can't even put 2 and 2 together.
That's really sad.
The master of divinity.
Yeah. Taught by the master of divinity. So the point is this. Jesus doesn't have a degree, but he's called by God. Obviously he has God. And so circling back to your original thing was like, would you hire somebody that hadn't gone to school? I 100% would. But I do think that school provides the opportunity to show discipline, mental discipline, physical discipline. You show up to class every day, you show up online, whatever your situation is, like you show that like I have sacrificed my energy, my finances, my comfort, my free time to go get this degree. And so degrees don't mean that you are qualified or that even God has called you, but it does show something. It shows discipline. It shows resolve. It shows that if God is calling you to it, you have shown that you're willing to do the work of disciplining yourself to get this thing done. And there's a great value in that. So it's not that it's anti-education. It's education with the calling is beautiful. Mm-hmm. But the education doesn't mean you're called. That's the idea. Jesus is called, doesn't have the education, but obviously he's God, and so he can do whatever he wants. Later, you see Paul, the apostle, he is educated. And he brags about it, saying like, dude, I'm the most educated dude around. Mm-hmm. I was educated by the best, but I sacrificed it all for the gospel. Yeah. But it shows that his intellect was just next level. He was elite.
So it sounds like what you're saying is if you've gone to seminary, awesome. But for the 98% of people who are listening who have not, and have no formal training in that, can still make great impact in the kingdom.
Yeah, 100%. If God calls you, you're unstoppable. So go do the things that God has called you to do. And if it is getting a better education, there's no excuse in our culture. You can do almost everything online, or you can connect with professors over video, or you can do hybrid stuff. Like, there's no excuse for you not to go get your education.
Yeah.
If you're called.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I'm so thankful for CBU and my education.
CBU lance up.
But also, I've been on YouTube and I'm like, man, this is everything I learned in college.
I love you, YouTube.
So yeah, it's out there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great place to end. And I appreciate that conversation. And
yep.
I think what you said is we both need a raise.
Praise God. That is what I said. Everybody gets a raise. At least everybody on this podcast.
We did it, guys.
We did it. We did it for the glory of God and the bank account.
All right. We will see you guys next week.
Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Third Point Podcast, where deep truth meets everyday life. We'll see you next week as we keep the conversation going.